What it do, tube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says and another installment of the ongoing Lakers soap opera As the Basketball Turns. Tales from the Crypto. Yeah, man. Now, on our last edition, the LA Lakers were in the midst of a gruesome 5-game losing streak. And they roll into Houston, Texas to take on the Rockets. And, as is usually the case, we have a fresh new starting lineup for tonight. Tonight, the lineup is courtesy of acting head coach David Fizdale, and he has come up with an interesting lineup concept for Houston tonight. LeBron James, the king, will be playing the center position. That's right, you heard it. The same spot that the rubber band man Robin A.D. is loath to play. The 5, LeBron James, is starting at center. And so, obviously, we are going to be in store for an interesting treat tonight. Also, in the starting lineup tonight, Malik Monk again, a move I've been calling for, along with Russ, and welcome back Avery Bradley to the starting lineup. Newcomer Stanley Johnson, starting tonight for the LA Lakers down in Houston. And, of course, as a sign of the times, health news for today. The Duke, Ellington, is out. Not COVID, though. Non-related COVID illness. So right out the gate, LBJ at the 5 looks good. Blocking shots. Making shots. He's hitting threes. He's making pinpoint, no-look passes. He looks energized. And so, I'm thinking, will the King get some support? Will he get help tonight? Now, Houston is also on a losing streak of its own. The Rockets have lost 4 in a row. And for the record, the Rockets are the worst team in the Western Conference. They have the 3rd worst record in the entire NBA. Yeah, but then there's Melo answering the call for support tonight. He's 3 of 3 from the field in the first quarter. Keeping it close. Just down 1 starting the second quarter. Now Russ, he's making his presence felt. You know how he does with the turnovers. He's turning the ball over. He's missing his free throws. But he's playing with energy. He plays with pace, and so that's the trade-off. That is the Russ experience. But Russell Westbrook really is a modern-day basketball enigma. It's not just the number, the quantity of turnovers, but it's the ugly, the grotesque, the despicable appearance of them, the look of them. The turnovers are so bad. It's like something out of a 7th grade gym class. I mean, it's extraordinary, really, that a surefire Hall of Famer can turn the ball over in such an ugly fashion so often. For what he gives you, and he does give you something, he takes it back. And so, he's a conundrum to me, a riddle. Now, the young Rockets, see, they're shooting 60+% from the field. And the Lakers are playing that old man sporadic defense, you know. And there it is, and then where'd it go? The Lakers are keeping it close, midway through the second quarter. And then at about the 5-minute mark, Malik Monk goes skywalking with a spectacular dunk. I mean, the kind of dunk dreams are made of. And the Lakers go up 3. Monk and Melo are helping the King, and at halftime, LA is up by 8. Russ, to start the third quarter now, has made it a tradition to commit a ghastly turnover. So he does this again in the third quarter to begin the second half in Houston. Despite this, the Lakers managed to hold the lowly Houston Rockets at bay. And then with about a minute left in the third quarter, Russ, he tries to bank a shot, and it went off the top of the backboard. I tell you, I thought it was going to hit the shot clock. He wasn't fouled. No one touched him. He just shot it damn near off the shot clock. But then there he is. Russell Westbrook, the conundrum, comes right back and hits the last shot of the third quarter. A 3, no less. And LA's up 5 to start the fourth. And the fourth quarter, the Lakers go on a run, but Houston catches them. And then the Lakers go on another mini run, and then Houston catches them. And so midway through the fourth quarter, we're tied. And then Russ, the enigma, blows a dunk, back iron. He's had a lot of these lately. He's missing bunnies, chippies. And we're tied still with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. But with under 2 minutes to go, the King hits 2 clutch free throws and then follows that up with a monster slam dunk to just about seal it for the Lakers. And thankfully, the 5-game losing streak is over. And so the Lakers hope that this is the beginning of better days. Final numbers: LeBron James, king-like, 32 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists, a beautiful triple-double. His 5th consecutive 30-point game. He was magnificent. In fact, that's 11 of 15 30-point games. But he had to play 40 big minutes tonight. And 40 minutes is a lot for anybody, especially a guy in his 19th NBA season. Russ also had a triple-double. In fact, it was only the 3rd time that Laker teammates combined for dual triple-doubles in the same game. Russ went for 24, 12, and 10. And that sounds wonderful, and it is. But the conundrum also had 7 of the Lakers' 12 turnovers. Monk contributed mightily, 25 points on 50% shooting from the field. Melo came through, 24 points on 9 of 15 from the field. He was 4 of 8 from 3 and had 9 rebounds. So overall, it was a good call by Fizz to try something different, shake things up, and start LBJ at the 5. I just worry, can he hold up over the long haul, playing these kind of minutes and having to carry this much of the load, this much of the scoring burden? We're approaching the halfway mark of the season, a few games away from it. But LeBron is carrying a heavy, heavy load. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. That's what they say. Tonight, LeBron James became the 3rd man to ever score 30 6,000 points in his NBA career, joining only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Karl Malone. And so, what a magnificent career and a magnificent achievement for the King. Kudos to LeBron James on this milestone, becoming only the third member of the 36K club. Still, I can't get too excited about this particular victory, as needed as it was. Houston shot 46% from the three-point line. And next up, the Grizz and Ja, as in basketball terms. So the Lakers roll into Memphis to take on the Grizzlies. The Lakers now 17-18, still hovering right around that 500 mark. The Grizzlies 21-14, and Memphis is the 4 seed. If the playoffs were to start today, the Lakers would be the 7 versus Memphis the 4. And Memphis is a real test. Can the Lakers capitalize on the momentum from finally breaking their losing streak and start a winning streak and beat a good team? Fizz starts Dwight Howard at the 5, LeBron at the 4, Malik Monk at the 3, and in the backcourt, Avery Bradley and Russ, the conundrum. But I like the look of this starting 5, and right away, LBJ again, right out the gate, a 3, a steal. He looks fresh as a daisy, despite playing 40 minutes the night before. And then another 3, and then a rebound, and then a fadeaway, a bank shot, king stuff. Now Russ, on the other hand, is stumbling and fumbling. But, again, I give Russ credit. He plays with a consistent energy, even if that energy is often misplaced. And he is the only Laker to have played every game this season, so he's available. Although, again, that can be construed as both a blessing and a curse. But thanks to LBJ, the Lakers surge up 10 midway through the first quarter, and by the end of the first quarter are up 7. Now, as an aside, THT, even on the second unit, appears to be really struggling. I'm not sure if it's, effects from COVID or what's going on with THT, but he's having trouble. On the other hand, however, Stanley Johnson continues to impress. He looks good, primarily on the defensive end, which is just what these Lakers need. Just what the doctor ordered for this team. He provides youthful energy, young legs on the defensive side. And so it's good to see him shining as a Laker. Now, LA is shooting 50% from 3 so far in this game. But, as is usually the case, turnovers consistently plague them. Now, Memphis is missing shots early. And for me, it's a bad omen because eventually those shots are going to start to fall. And sure enough, the Grizz go on a run. Midway through the second quarter, they cut the lead to 4. And back and forth we go. By the time we get to halftime, the Lakers are holding a 54-48 lead. Right out the tunnel to start the third quarter, LBJ hits 2 fadeaways. Beautiful. And then Ja hits a 3. And then LBJ hits a 3. And it's back and forth we go. And it's becoming the Ja versus King show. I mean, at this point, he's 6 of 7 from 3 with 29 points in the third quarter. But when LeBron rests, Russ takes over. That's when Russ goes to work fumbling. I might have to start calling Russ fumbles. Quarter. We're tied at 83. And this sequence really started the spiral to the end. LeBron did a behind-the-back pass to Melo. That was pinpoint, right on the money. And Melo, who, I guess was startled by it, wasn't ready for it, fumbled it out of bounds. And that was at the 7:22 mark. And from that point on, the Lakers seemingly were doomed. And that seemed to signal the beginning of the end for the Lakers. Ja went down and scored a 3. LBJ missed a shot on the other end. Memphis took the lead. It was their first lead since 2-0. And that was a lead, as it turned out, they would never surrender. Then LBJ strokes a 3. That was his 8th, which ties a career high for three-pointers made for the King. And now the Lakers are only down 3. And then Russ blows another. Was it a dunk? Was it a layup? I mean, the sea parted. He went right to the rack. He sort of started to dunk it and changed it to a finger roll. And what he did was he finger missed. And this is what I mean by these are the demoralizing aspects to Russ's game. As accomplished a player as he is, he can commit some of the most confounding turnovers, dribble the ball off his shoelace, or shoot off the shot clock, or miss a point-blank wide open layup, or dunk off the back iron. Just inexplicable. Is it lapses in concentration? Is his athleticism failing? Does he need a sports psychologist? When you see him in the post games, his attitude does not seem positive. He seems at once apathetic and surly. In the post game presser, when asked questions, Russ, who tends to avoid making any eye contact with the questioners at all, who looks at his phone and seems to be completely preoccupied with whatever he's looking at, but he answers the questions brusquely, clipped. He says things like it is what it is. Hey, nobody likes to lose. Gotta figure it out. I don't know. You saw the TV. You saw the game. I have no idea. I don't have a reaction. And when people question him as to his answer, he says, that's what I said. That's what I said. Fumbles the conundrum. FTC fumbles the conundrum. That's a mouthful. Well, with 22 seconds left to play, the Lakers still not quite dead. They were only down 3. But that possession to end the game, you've seen it, I'm sure, the highlights. The Lakers fumble, stumble, bumble. And it wasn't just Russ now. In this case, it was LeBron. And LeBron had his share of turnovers. In fact, LeBron had 5 turnovers, as did Russ. In fact, of the Lakers' 18 turnovers, another game with 18 turnovers, LeBron and Russ combined for 10 of them. Over half of them between these two guys. Split evenly, 5 apiece. You tend to give LeBron the benefit of the doubt and give him a pass because of the magnificent game he's putting together. Otherwise, Russ, as a supporting character, his turnovers are killers. Memphis wins 104-99. LA drops to 17-19. Back to 2 games under 500. And yes, LA did play with some grit. They did show some fight. In fact, they led the game pretty much wire to wire. After 2-0, they led the whole way until midway into the fourth quarter. But These are the signs of a not so good basketball team. Again, these are bad basketball teams. Give up big leads, choke them away and lose, or they get blown out straight away and lose, but they lose. They lose a lot, and that's what the Lakers are doing. And so it appears the only correlation that can be drawn is the Lakers are a bad basketball team. I also want to say this. You have to give Ja Morant a lot of credit. I like the kid. He's a legitimate big-time baller, a superstar on the brink. And so it was just too much Ja in the end, and too much Russ to go along with it, I guess. And so the final numbers, Ja, 41 points, 10 rebounds. He was 6 of 7 from 3. And LBJ scored his 6th consecutive 30-point game. It was another beauty, a 30-point triple-double. However, of his 6 consecutive 30-point games, the Lakers are 1-5 in those games. And the Lakers have now lost 6 of their last 7 ball games. They're in trouble. But you have to pay homage to the king. In fact, the game in Memphis came just a few hours before the king officially celebrated his 37th birthday. And so LeBron James put up 37 points on the eve of his 37th birthday. It's astonishing. It's remarkable that he's still playing at such a high level this deep into his career. Final numbers for LeBron, 37 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists. And then, as I mentioned, the 5 turnovers. And happy birthday to LeBron James. The Fizdale, in his post-game press conference, said, for whatever reason, at the end, we run out of offensive energy. For whatever reason, at the end, we run out of offensive energy. Is he scratching his head? Is he confused? For whatever reason? I could give you a good reason. Elderly. Old. That's why you run out of energy. Offensive. And he didn't say they run out of defensive energy because they don't seem to have much of that at the end or the beginning or the middle. And so here we are, Laker Nation. And today, the day after the Memphis game, I learned that Rajon Rondo is on the cusp of being traded. Now, how will this help the Lakers, you might ask? I did. Well, I don't know. In fact, I don't think it will. I like Rondo. And if you've been watching any of my previous episodes, you know a recurring theme has been, where's Rondo? Well, I guess now we know where Rondo is. Apparently, he's on his way to Cleveland. I guess I should have saw this coming. I guess I should have seen this coming since they Montrezled him. And that's what they did, Vogel. Primarily Montrezled him. Put him on ice. And once they Montrezled Montrez, he was gone. And then they Montrezled Rondo, and apparently he's on his way out. And what do the Lakers get back in this trade with Cleveland? Nothing. No, they say it's just going to be clear some cap space and free up a roster spot, you know. So it feels to me like LA is toilet bowling. I don't see a prognosis by which this team can rebound and save its season, and championship aspirations are laughable. So, we'll appreciate the majesty of the king and the magnificent performances that he continues to put up, but I'm afraid many of them will be in a losing effort. Will the new year prove me wrong as we turn the calendar from 2021 into 2022? Will the Lakers' tides change for the better? Will they learn to play defense? Will the return of COVID protocol players like Reeves, will the return of injured players like Nunn prove to be that salve, that balm that the Lakers need to finally elevate themselves and launch into playoff contention? Probably not. And so, these and many other questions will continue to be asked and maybe answered. It's a conundrum. But until next time, my folks, throw me one of these. Have a wonderful and happy and prosperous new year. And until next time, my folks, Scotty says, one love.